Okay guys, I'm going to demonstrate some value shading, and you're going to need this in 5 different areas, and I went ahead and did this one for you. Now this is actually still bilateral symmetry because we have the left side of the tongue here and the right side of the tongue here, left side of the lip here, right side of the lip here. So this counts as one item. This is going to count as one item, but also if you do these 2 little dragons over here, you do a dragon here and a dragon there, that also counts as one. Okay. So you want at least 5 areas. I really encourage you to do more. You can do a couple of things. You can come in with like a dark color like a red, and you can do analogous colors, which are 3 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And red, orange, and yellow are next to each other. So you come in with red first, then you kind of go in with your orange and you blend it in nicely. You don't want to see any sharp lines. And then we're going to do the tip of the tongue in yellow. And you need to be careful because this graphite pencil that we use to create all these lines, the reason it does the graphite transfer technique so well is because this is very soft lead. So when you close it and you press, it makes the mark on the other side, but you're going to start seeing that it's going to get messy when your hand goes over it. So you may want to keep your eraser handy. And then think about that when you're rubbing your yellow in or your orange or your red, it might start mixing with this graphite. So just be careful. And then down here for the lips, this is another example. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. Natural lips are going to be a little darker in the corner and maybe a little bit darker underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a mid-tone, which is kind of 50% pencil pressure, kind of a middle of the road situation. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to figure out where my value needs to be. So where are those dark areas? And if you look at a person, it's a little bit dark where the crease comes together, where the 2 lips come together. So I'm going to go in and darken that. And I'm trying not to do too much of a hard line. So remember, if your pencil is sharp, use a piece of scratch paper and rub that sharpness off a little bit, and that will help you a lot. It's also a little bit dark on the, like around the outer lines. And then you want to think about where that light source is coming from, and maybe it's kind of shining right onto these plump parts. So I'm going to kind of darken it in the middle a little, and I'm going to leave the plump areas here. If you really want to add an extra little zoom to it, a little zing, add a really bright light color. Let's see what it looks like when I add yellow to it. You don't always have to add colors that are going to make sense. I think I kind of like that. You can always practice on a piece of scratch paper if you're not sure. And I think I like that. So this would be considered an area of value because I have my dark, dark, and I have my light areas, right? And then here I have my dark, dark, and I have my light. You may want to come in and use one color for something like, so let's say I'm going to do this little corner area here. So this could be considered an area. Oh, remember I talked about that graphite rubbing? Well, if you take your colored pencil and you go over that graphite line, it will seal it so that it doesn't rub anymore. So if you're working on a specific area and you know for sure that you're going to be using that color, you can go in and do that. So here's another example. I'm going to just kind of do, this was my letter A. And for those of you that are struggling with the value, I would just go in and do everything as a mid-tone and then go back in and add your value. You can even use your eraser sometimes on colored pencil if you haven't pressed too hard and lighten it up. But remember, you want to go in the direction of your letter, not always the direction that you think you want to go, because these lines are going to show. And if you see a line, go the opposite direction with it and it rubs it out. It counteracts it. So I have a little bit of that graphite rubbing in with this blue. And remember, you're going to be doing both sides the same. This is bilateral symmetry, right? Bi meaning 2, bilateral symmetry meaning same. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to darken this area. I don't think it's quite dark enough. And remember what we learned with our last project is if you want to go in and really push the value, get a darker color. I could use black, but I think I'm going to use this navy blue. I think, yeah, it's called navy. And I'm going to go in and darken it up here. And that really pushed the value of that one. So now I can bring my 100% pencil pressure of this blue down a little bit and start blending it in down here because I'm going to use that navy to get the really dark up here. So this project is a little bit time consuming, and that's why I'm giving you guys 2 weeks to do it. But it's probably going to be one of your favorite things. Most of my students love to hold on to their name totems and keep them forever. And I have a bunch of examples in the classroom, and those are the ones that I put at the top of the assignment. I would suggest at some point going over all of these lines with the color that you're using. It seals it so it won't rub anymore. Okay, so this is a pretty decent example of value shading. We've got our super dark up all the way to our light. And if you want, you can try to add some white into that lower part, and this is going to rub in with that and create like a light blue. Now it looks really good, and it blended it in really nicely. It looks like I did it with a cotton ball. So you're going to need at least 5 areas of that. So you would have this the same as this. So this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3. I would balance them out so that you have some at the top, some at the bottom, some in the middle. The really, really successful works are ones where there is a ton of this. You can do it anywhere. You could do it on these round little pearls, right? You could do it here. You could have this entire piece have value shading on every single portion of it, and it would look really, really great. But you need at least 5, so please play around with it and have fun. And you have 2 weeks to do this one, okay?